So it's currently 8:31, and 8 plus 31 is 39. Flips three nines over a 666 on the turnaround. So that's three sixes on the ground, three nines in the sky on the balanced flip across the universe. So that being said, that's the introduction, and I'm gonna do some invites here. Um, so we can get started with what we're doing. No, that's not what I'm asking. This one here. Okay, so today I posted a writ of habeas corpus in the public domain using as the foundation the indigenous tribal customs, the tribal law. So I'm going to have to go over a little bit of that and the evidence to validate the show cause here as to why Larry Hoover needed to be brought forth to address the public. Many people think it's about Larry Hoover. Larry Hoover had a position on the land appointed to him by Divine Mother. He was restricted from performing his function as High Chief on the land. All other chiefs on the land being similarly or equally qualified were impotent by a rogue system masquerading as our government, masquerading as a government, and the entire time it was a de facto corporation operating under the color of law in violation of their own statements of legality. So not only did they violate their own law and code of ethics, they violated ours. Also, they lose all negotiation rights secured to them by treaty because they also transgress every treaty. When a treaty is made, the transgressor or the person who doesn't carry their part of the burden then becomes the subject of the one who they signed the treaty with in good faith, but failed to uphold a good faith negotiation and execution of a treaty. So what we finna go over now is translating the legalese back into the tribal domain. We are literally going back to tribal ways in this dialogue, and our tribal ways say if it is written in law and it can be grandfathered in, considering the failure of the new system to maintain its integrity. This system has no integrity. So the system that we are under stems from a papal bull of 1311 by the Pope. So since we are under that, all law being considered commercial means that it's governed under a commercial doctrine and document. We know it as the Uniform Commercial Code in the sciences, but the common people know it as the Ancient Code of Kings or Admiralty Law. No, Ancient Code of Thieves or Admiralty Law. Now, as sovereigns of the land, from the land, on the land, responsible for the land. Um, every one of us, man, woman, or child, without respect of persons, with no big eyes, no little U's, have an obligation to our community. All tribes already established it in their cultural traditions and their cultural laws and bylaws of the clans. The clans are the subsets of the tribes that branched off to form their own smaller tribes. My tribe, my grandfather, Hezekiah, out of the Mississippi Iroquois, and my other grandmother on my father's side being from the Cherokee Nations. So, being that I became aware of the problem, and I also became aware of returning back to our original culture nullifies the entirety of the problem, and it automatically gives us what we call the sovereign right as custodians of the land to restore the balance to nature by restoring the balance to the land, the water, the air, and the balance among the nations of the clans or the collective of the clans. We didn't have nations. We had tribes, clans, and then we had what you call a grand tribe or a great tribe, which is a very large tribe. Ours come in through the Mississippian lines. And the Mississippians are those country boys that they think they dumb, but they ain't dumb. Now, I was given the task by Big Mama while she walked the land, on the land, from the land, having the entirety of the Mississippi territories relegated to her responsibility to be redeemed. At this time, I have to go over what the system did wrong by removing Larry Hoover from the land, by removing Chief Malik Angel Bay from the land, by removing Stan Tukey Williams from the land. What did they do, the system, and why did they do it? So I have to, by the time I'm done with this, y'all got to be able to put your hand on the documentation that I'm giving you. And it's supposed to verify the contents of what I'm saying in order to uphold the writ. In response to that, once you verify and validate it by your independent research, the information I'm giving, you then come behind me and do exactly what I'm doing now. When you discover that your people are under a threat, a unilateral threat across the land and around the world, and nobody else don't see it but you, regardless of ridicule, regardless of comfort, regardless of needs, wants, and desires, you are obligated to speak up in the interest of and on behalf of the best interests of the most people as you know it to affect them. Under the matriarchy, the land was divided into three segments, and each one of the three segments had a chieftain assigned as the organizer of all of the local chiefs in that area by Big Mama orders, right? So they went out to different parts of the land to slowly try to give our people enough understanding of the problem to effectuate a solution. It's our turn and it's up to us whether we want our shit back or whether we don't want our shit back and we want to be go along to get along as slaves. Okay. That being said, the first thing is the counterintelligence program of the Central Intelligence Agency in cooperation with the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Mission statement it clearly states the motive, the directive, and the mission of the counterintelligence program. The FBI files and the COINTELPRO files specifically has in there the names, birth dates, and prior home addresses, associates, and affiliates of the chieftains of the land listed under the false pretense of what they called a potential messiah that must be neutralized. They classified them as criminal elements. Once they classified them as criminal elements, using the Central Intelligence in their control of the media, which is spoke on at a press conference by John Fitzgerald Kennedy, the separation, address to the Press Club of America, in which he describes the conspiracy that was in play, that he had been approached, that this conspiracy covered many facets of our lives, and that as a people, that we need to wake the fuck up quick, right? So that speech is evidence of the claim. Also, the mission statement of the counterintelligence program and the FBI files and CIA files related to its operation verifies that they marked young leaders to be neutralized and classified as a criminal element in order to villainize the leadership that we pick for ourselves according to the laws of the land, and to perpetuate their artificial government in a de facto position over the land. Now, in law, their laws say that anytime a contract has been secured through fraudulent means, it nullifies the effectiveness of the contract. The contract we speak of, you know it as the United States Constitution, which is a blood oath from a Masonic and Shriner Lodge in a dialogue that took place after they, right prior to moving our capital from Philadelphia to Washington, D.C. They claim under the papal bull that our land landed on their ship. So because our land crashed into their ship, they declared it a wreck site. And anybody attempting to flee would be called a despot, stranded at sea, incompetent in law, with no rights aboard the captain's ship. The captain's ship is represented by the Admiralty flag, captured by the high priest of the Druid order of the Viking clans, of the training and association and affiliation with the indigenous custodians of the land, to recover the flag that was behind Nancy Pelosi's desk at the conclusion of the elections, when they established the artificial riot in order to delude the people into thinking that Trump had tried to cause civil unrest across the land. As they painted this narrative, the white hats used that opportunity to capture the Admiralty flag of the vessel in its port. But they actually was capturing the wrecked vessel that was on our land that wrongly said we crashed into their vessel. This gave them what they call the right of pirates to loot the land and exploit the people, and to put any persons found into bondage servitude as prisoners of war. You know it as a transatlantic slave trade. The prisoners of war, by means of a 10-point program that encompasses economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war, and health, all being used as with nefarious intent to defraud and deceive the people into surrendering the birthright to the earth rights as custodians of the land. Now, once you understand that the fraudulent nature of the contract renders the contract null and void and of no effect, we immediately revert back to what we call the Constitution of the Iroquois Confederation of Tribes. Under that, we were called the Confederacy, the South. And they artificially inserted a flag called the Union Jack, which is a replica of the flag of England, in order to usurp the people of the land. And they used this flag to represent the South in its fall to England. Old Glory, as they call the current flag, 13 stripes, 50 stars on the blue background. This flag is the flag that all of the tyranny that we've experienced represent. So neither one of those flags is the flag of the Bay, true flag of the land. The facsimile in play is the flag established by the United Nubian Nations of Moors in association with all of the indigenous clans and clan chieftains across the land in their face behind a motherfucking back. So once this flag becomes the preeminent flag across the land, it signifies that the tribes have regained full control of the land, and that the corporation, which is a currently defunct, bankrupt, inactive corporation that has been seized by the indigenous people of the land, declared enemy combatants to we the people of the United Tribes of the Federation of Civilized Tribes. Civilized mean that we have an intact chief, an intact matriarchal council, because no one person rules us. We rule by competence and by the law of righteousness, which is the law of right. If you be right and if you telling the truth, it automatically, under the divine right of the earth rights, activates spiritual forces in the physical world to put us back in our proper position. Now, they wanted to start a new world order, and they needed to neutralize all of our chieftains. Jeff Ford, Larry Hoover, Freeway Ricky Ross, Demetrius Flannery, and it's many others that they call drug dealers, right? The problem with that is this. Pursuant to a historical work known as Dope Inc. Dope Inc. is the title of the book. Write it down. It's a reference point. And verified by the Iran-Contra Senate hearings and investigation. That's public record. and accessible through Freedom of Information Act, but you can also watch pretty much most of it on some form of internet exchange. The allegation that the chiefs of the land were drug dealers when they were isolated from any other form of providing a living and forced or given drugs by the same people that's calling them criminals for selling the drugs. Right, what the fuck are you talking about? I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Iran-Contra catches red-handed the United States government as the largest drug trading corporation in the world, using the military might of the United States Drug Enforcement Agency and its operatives as the enforcement branch of their drug activities. They got caught. Red fucking handed. George Herbert Walker Bush was the ringleader and the chief of what you know as the Illuminati on this side of the water. Right? If you go back a couple of years, the leader from the European Union was being scolded because in Europe, he was the counterpart, the mirror opposite of George Herbert Walker Bush over here. Right? So you can pull that discourse when they was asking him who made him the leader. Right? I can't remember his name right now, but we'll put him up later in some kind of post. All right, now, while they selling these drugs, they are also buying military munitions from the United States Army. And as they buy all of this, as they secure all of this military might, they're selling it to the sworn enemy in violation of the Trading with the Enemy Act. The Trading with the Enemy Act say anybody caught doing business with a known enemy is guilty of treason if it can be proven. They proved the shit out of it in the Iran-Contra hearings because they were selling the guns to Iran after they made a backdoor deal to exchange guns for hostages. Because the guy they put in power in Iraq by the name of Saddam Hussein was being double-crossed by George Herbert Walker Bush and his Central Intelligence Agency. So they went behind their ally back and number one guy in the Middle East to trade with the enemy on a double-cross deal. Because of that, we had ensuing war that cost hundreds of lives, thousands of lives of our children, our friends, and our family, our associates, our kith, and our kindred. They fought these wars under false pretenses in order to maintain a secure grip on the control of the land and the people. And that shit don't work on me. And so once they done that, it put our chieftains, they neutralized all of the chiefs on the land. They neutralized all of the chiefs on the land, and they told the people Charles Manson was an insane lunatic who ordered murders when he refused to initiate a race war with Joseph Senku of the Symbionese Liberation Army. He told us the first known conspiracy theorist on record is Charles Manson and his helter-skelter philosophy, where he said they was poisoning in the water with fluoride. He was right. He said they were trying to cut down all the trees and poison the sky with chemicals. He was right. They said they wanted a race war so that they can take control of the land by declaring martial law when the shit get out of control, and that would excuse them to implement the Rex 84 initiative to annihilate us from our very own homeland in which we are a part of. Can't separate the people from the land nor the land from the people. That's like trying to separate the mama from the child or the child from the mama. As long as they know each other, still love each other, that shit can't be broke. Even in death. So, the next thing is, in every major city around the world, around the country, across the land, they've attacked us. They've burned cities. They've burned countrysides. They've broke dams. They've built dams to blow dams to flood lands out. They started in Europe by salting the lands of the Irish and the Scots so that they would have to come over here for survival. So that they can masquerade as Irish and Scots in the Scottish Rite Lodge and infiltrate us without us ever even knowing it. And once they done that, they was able to identify the chieftains of the land so that when the enemy finally invaded, they knew who to kill. And they used murder and bloodletting rituals as a means to maintain control of the people's minds and to control the wealth and land of the people. But here's the side effect. Nobody was allowed to touch the royal coffers, and you are not allowed to interfere with the accumulation of royal wealth that feeds all of the people of the planet. So even in the corporate arena, when they thought they were racking up all of the money, check and see if this is valid. No Rockefeller owned any personal property. None of the DuPonts own any personal property. Everything is trust, foundation, and corporation owned. Gives them tax exemption in their personal capacity. They never have to fill out a W-2 or a W-4. They never have to fill out a 1099. They never have to fill out any tax forms. All they have to do is ensure that they got accountants that know how to keep the books in the non-profit foundation that holds all the wealth tax-free anyway. They can use it, but they can't keep it. They can't keep it personally, and this is where they was fucking us over. Because they can accumulate the wealth on our behalf, we have to figure out, according to our traditional ways, how to reestablish our system. This is documented with Noble Drew Ali saying oral statements and prophecies. I'm going to leave them in power just long enough for you to learn how to run a government. It's already recorded since 1929. Okay, now, since we now know how to run government again, so they dumbed us down, and since we now know the source of the problem, an artificial, fictitious corporation masquerading as the government of the people, using by deception adhesion contracts to bind you into the service under an Emancipation Proclamation transfer of privately owned slaves into publicly owned property of the corporation. And they only transferred the means of slavery, not the idea, concept, or the effectuation of the servitude. So they turned you into a manumission slave, which is a trustee. The slave that get to walk around the jail while the rest of them is in cages is called the trustee. We are trustees out here until we take our rightful place as custodians of the land by understanding the nature of the threat and that we already have a remedy in play, because the one who becomes aware of the problem first and has an insightful knowledge on it must, according to an Iroquois right of sovereign speech, what we call free speech, what they called in ancient Egypt as the Hoover, the right to speak on behalf of God in the presence of the people, a prophet, a sovereign, somebody you cannot take their God-given right, a 5/5 realized God-formed body of the land, from the land, on the land, traversing the land, unrestricted, and without bond or bondage, neither being bond servant to none, nor holding none in bond service, neither participating in nor supporting bondage of any form, child molestation of any form, rape of any form, theft of any form, into the 42 confessions of might in full, that these things at this time be not in my presence. Therefore I had a right to speak for my brethren, on behalf of my brethren, to empower my brethren to reclaim what is rightfully theirs by jurisdiction, by divine right, and by divine decree and order at the close of the age, that the custodians restore the land, the water, the airwaves, and the people. The high chief of the land must answer to the people the just cause as to why are they not effectuating the cleanup of the land, the restoration of the people, the cleansing of the rivers and the waterways and the air. What is impeding our leadership, our chieftains, from addressing the chiefs? It is the apparent overstepping of a boundary of the corporation by assumed jurisdiction, acting under the color of law in violation of their very own bylaws called United States Code Annotated, in which anybody acting under the color of law, masquerading as the law enforcement, are guilty of acting under the color of law. All known police and all known policing agencies not commissioned under Chief Malik Angel Bay on the land is not tribal police, and their charters have been revoked because they are corporations masquerading as the just arm of the law of the land, acting in injustice, inequality, and hostile nature toward the people and the leadership of the people, and they are the enemy combatants of the people of the land that traverse the land, that have a right to restore the land. It is our job, as we become aware and verify these facts, that we make them known. And this is why we say each one teach one, because we all might reach some, right? The more we reach, the better we teach. And the better we teach, the less we have to preach. Because then we know what to do, we know when to do it, and we know how it has to be done. So the public notice and the responsibility fall on me, because I become educated to the degree to see exactly what the problem is, offer up the solution, and to request public inquiry into our leadership. And this is the three kings that must walk the land. So if they are incapacitated in any form, we still need you to produce, by writ of mandamus, our leadership, Larry Hoover, Jeff Ford, and Stan Tukey Williams. Be they breathing or not breathing, be they walking or not walking, being they conscious or unconscious, you have to produce the body for examination by the public so that we will know how to restructure and reassemble our tribes in order to meet the proper establishment of the grand matriarchy, and the grand matriarch will resume the leadership role of the matriarchs of the land. Now, I didn't want this to get too involved, but I have to go through as much as I can to get y'all to understand this shit is over. Big Mama said tear all they shit down, but she told me she want me to use my brain. not my fists and not my pistol. So I'm brain banging with their ass because she the one told Larry to tell us this ain't a gang banging game, it's a brain banging game. So because Larry agreed with her, and I'm always going to ride with Big Mama no matter who don't like it. No matter how many motherfuckers get offended. When she said unify the chiefs of the land, I don't even got to like you. I don't even got to know you. I don't even have to even seen you before. They displaced. She want them restored. This is the method by which we performed under our own jurisdiction. Now, having regained our jurisdiction by confession and submission of the corporation of the Indigenous Rights Act of the United States of America, which transfers power at the fall or bankrupt nature of the government to maintain a continuity of government, the military must secure all borders, that no ships may enter into the dock, that no invasion may incur upon the land during the transfer of power. And once the military secures the borders and the airwaves are to be resumed as a no-fly zone, that means that all major airlines will be shut down and confiscated by the military in order to become a United Airlines unilaterally for the interest of the people. These plane ticket prices is ridiculous, and this extra shit at the transport, that's fucking retarded. Right? So I gotta tell y'all what y'all need to know in order to be effective in reclaiming what's ours. We the elders now, we have to speak up. We don't have to not like it. We don't have to be comfortable. We don't have to feel good about it. But the law and necessity say if it's necessary to speak up, then it's necessary that you speak your ass up. And somebody need to speak up because the conditions require it. Conditions is deplorable. Many people are committing suicide because they understand that life ain't supposed to be this miserable for so many people. Even in the midst of joy and abundance, motherfuckers is still miserable, and they don't know why. And they don't know why. This is why. There is somebody here that didn't belong here from the beginning. We've been here from the beginning. They trying to convince us we wasn't here from the beginning. We created this motherfucker as makers and owners of the motherfucking universe. We created this shit. The cream of the planet Earth. This our shit. But they telling us we ain't from here. Right? Now, another thing is, once the public notice is issued and the tribe's people believe that the information is factual, they refer the information to their local chieftains and leadership. In modern terminologies, this Reverend Rib, Reverend Porkchop, Deacon Jones, the old man down the street that be giving everybody free motherfucking rabbits when he go rabbit hunting in the winter. All these is the chiefs. You don't even know how to recognize them. The motherfuckers that's work all iron, you call them scrappers. The oldest one of them that's in your town, that's his responsibility on the land to clean up the metals under the Ogun line. Right? So these is your guerrilla clans. Now, the guerrillas is knocking all across the land. The chieftains is calling. The hawks is screaming. The elephants is swaying, the sway of the matriarchs. The mares have marched. And now the animals are on the move again. So when the animals is on the move, that's telling you that the spirit is about to move the people. Which brings us to La Palma. I was asked to address La Palma. Duck. That's my response to La Palma. Duck, motherfuckers, get low or get her to the high ground. That's all I can tell you. I don't have no long drawn out shit about that. I gave y'all the science and told y'all that these motherfuckers was trying to delay it long as possible. Their time is up. Now, I had a talk with the sister, Isis Wisdom. This probably gonna be the last video until she get back with me and tell me what's next on that she need me to do from over that side. But for this side, this information that I'm giving you now is what you call liberation information. This is what Martin Luther King was talking about, a non-violent protest, a passive resistance. Disengage from the devil's system. Walk off your job, you will get one on the flip side better than you ever had. Walk away from your motherfucking educational system. This is the source of the poison. This is where the poison is implanted in the mind of the children, and it got to be overhauled clean across the land. And we already have the formula, the format, and the curriculum writers from the land, on the land, that know how our brains work because they studied that shit. And they already put the information out, and it's very accurate and it work. Study Dr. Julia Hare, Nathan and Julia Hare. Study what's his name? Dr. Amos Ian Wilson. Developmental Psychology of the Black Child. You know, study these things to understand that we have all of the answers. We do not need these motherfuckers no more. They can kick rocks and get the fuck off our shit. I don't know where they gonna go, but they can't stay here. And it's about time for us to have military tribunal TV for a couple of days. There is a 3-period, 7-day process for the people of the land to review the public notice if they deem that it is an actual valid public notice and that the supporting information is true and factual, becomes obligated as I am to pass the information on to their brethren by written and oral discourse. Public notice, you can do social media and meet all of the requirements of a public notice. Instagram, Facebook, MySpace, MeWe, any public domain where a sizable cross-section of the people can see it and reasonably judge for themselves the necessity to disseminate the information. Now, I'm not going to take no questions this time, right? I'm gonna go one more stretch on this issue. All right. They were killing our children under the pretense of starting a beef between each other and then making us kill each other. In other words, they was fighting us in the street like pit bulls, using guns and knives as the tools. We fell for it. The whole state of Memphis right now, the whole state of the city of Memphis, the whole condition. Memphis is the third city in the Trinity, or the 3 cities of Egypt, to be reclaimed. The blood rituals in Memphis right now is directed at stopping you from ever being conscious of your divine right to kick these motherfuckers off our land and restore our natural system according to the laws of nature, with no big I's, no little U's, all sovereign in a sovereign capacity, have a right to demand by public notice a writ of habeas corpus for Larry Hoover. Jeff Ford et al. Means in law those that follow, which you can put any one of the political prisoners that you are aware of that has reached the age of chief. And the lowest age of chief is called the age of majority of 18. He can't be a chief before his 18th birthday. That's why they say that we turn adults at 18. Right? You're not allowed to establish his clan until his 21st birthday. And that's why you can't drink till you 21. Your 21st birthday is your third cycle of 7 years complete. 3 cycles of 7 years is supposed to train you sufficient to run your own clan. And we get it off the fat of the land. We can eat off the jungle. We can eat out the city. We can eat out the suburbs. We can eat off the office floor. We can eat out the Senate building. Wherever they put us at, no matter how close to the bottom it is, we're going to come up because we understand the concept of living off the fat of the land, mean getting it from the dirt. Literally. So right now, I'm getting it from the dirt by exposing the dirt that they doing that's keeping you impotent, and that they using the corona fiasco as the smokescreen. As soon as it started losing its traction, they turn our children against each other in major cities. This time it's Memphis because this is the close. When we figure out how to start to issue the habeas corpus across the land, right? Anybody who understands sovereign capacity, under your sovereign right, without restriction from the 1301 papal bulls. There's 3 of them in total. I'm not going to get into it here because they're already on public file that I've identified them. But it's 3 papal bulls around 1301. So your sovereign right precedes any of those papal bulls. The papal bull established something called a white man's burden. And is the unseen hand, the hidden hand, and the white man not even white. That nigga darker than me. At his brown paper club having ass, he darker than me, and he's hiding behind the ignorant of the tribes of Europe over here, or his slaves or his minions, because he is a Negropean masquerading as an Indo-African. A Neo-African, a new African. He telling us that we came on the ship because he came on the ship. My people didn't come on no ship. I ain't black and I ain't white. I have nothing to do with y'all games. But since the people don't understand their status, it becomes my responsibility to speak up, no matter what the ridicule, no matter what the source is. If I am able and capable of sharing the information with the tribes and the clans clean across the land, I am obligated to do so. Anyone who understands the problem as clear enough to explain it as I have must turn around and also tell the problem to the motherfucker next to you, whether he listen or don't, whether you get ridiculed or not, whether he call you crazy or not. As a tribesman of the land, on the land, traversing the land, as a sovereign being, a grown-ass man, you obligated to tell somebody the truth. So all of the sisters in here, and the brothers, and the others, to all of the enemies watching, the fakes, and the snakes. This is the raw, uncut facts. This motherfucking double-edged sword then brought down the great beast, the Leviathan of Revelations, being identified as the United States Corporation's military protocol is called the Leviathan Force. Look it up. America's military Leviathan Force is the great serpent that needed to be slain, rising from the sea of people, not the papal sea by papal bull. Because papal bulls are Papa's bullshit. So we're going to take Papa's bullshit and let that shit ferment, cook in the sun, roast a little while, break down, decay, and become fertilizer as we grow a new heaven and a new earth on this motherfucker without the motherfucking presence of those who don't belong. Right? So it's all kind of shit that y'all need to be aware of, but this video right here is the most critical to help y'all understand how to break free. You don't even have to know your clan to assert your sovereign right yet. Because of what was done to us, we not expected right now to know our clan. We expected to raise our frequency and our clan can telepathically call us home. So these women about to start moving to high ground, but they really tribing up according to the laws of nature. Nature gonna tell them to either move or perish. When nature tell the women to get on the move, they're gonna be and have a sense of urgency, and you as a man supposed to secure that and support it. Cause this shit is about to get ugly because we haven't seen three kings walk in the land in sufficient time, indicating there's something wrong. So whatever it is that's wrong, I don't care what it is. The habeas corpus is the demand by mandamus, which is also a writ of mandamus, to bring forth the chiefs to answer to the clansmen across the land. Why are we not in charge of our own shit as sovereign beings? And who is these motherfuckers holding our shit hostage as we pretend to be impoverished and starving? They got our money. They got our money. They holding our wealth in abeyance. We not allowed wealth, and they breaking up our families so that they can continue to perpetuate their services of servitude. On you manumission ass, go along to get along, bootlicking, tap dancing ass slave niggas, sellouts that turn on every movement that lift us up. You motherfuckers find a way to tear us down because y'all not us. That's not how our hearts are wired. We gonna always, no matter how much, like I want to smoke. I want to beat a motherfucker ass. I want to bust a cap in a motherfucker ass. But you know what? Mama said that ain't the way to win this war. This is a conjure war. Become the greatest conjure man of all time by reading they conjure, reverse engineer that shit, and tell the people what the conjure was, who done it, and where they at. Well, it's no secret no more. Moby Dick been slayed by Ahab. Moby Dick been slayed by Ahab. Ahab is the seventh king of Israel. And I am the seventh son. Seventh seed of the seventh seed of the seventh seed. That's a lightning strike. I was born with 3 sevens in my head. Rakim Allah. Right? On the crossroad lick with a key. Sissies. Because I can rock tit for tat, forth and back, up high, down low, 360, 720, 1440, 440, West Coast, turnaround, rubber ducky. Did you get that motherfucker tenfold off of a GD flip to a 7-4 on a BD knock off a BG flip from a motherfucking Vice Lord, 4-star elite, to a Vice Lord Chief, a Willie Lord, to flip Willie a Lord on the land coming to redeem the clans, to a knockback off of Chief Angel Bay on a chin check to validate a scrapper, to make sure this motherfucking pit bull that's a prairie dog off the Blue Lodge under Larry, a GD, true to the core, true blue to the heart, on a gorilla knock off a cricket that flipped Jimmy, a liar, can't tell the truth for shit, but the truth is in the lie, off of a motherfucking John Henry Clark knockback off an ancestral message. The story itself need not be true to carry a truth within it. That's called a well-dressed lie. And if you can undress a well-dressed lie, you can get to the naked truth. And once you to the naked truth, you can expose this vulnerable bitch for what she is. And then we pull the curtain back. Right? And we find that behind the curtain the whole time was no man. Because Big Mama got on man's shoes, had Shessip wore a beard. And we gonna restore matriarchy by giving the woman back the pharaonic powers of right of the earth right off a grandmother clause, because the grandfather clause has already been enacted in law to establish the superior jurisdiction, because it was the first jurisdiction. And the first jurisdiction always remains superior in that it outsource any other jurisdiction as a subservient jurisdiction, because none can overthrow Big Mama. And Big Mama is represented in the physical form by the Grand Matriarch on the land. And we need the three kings to address the people in order to them to, in unison, to tell the people who the Grand Matriarch is in hiding in order to preserve the nations of the land and to secure the birthright off of a flags and stars and stripes. But the Union Jack had stars and stripes too. They was just in a different pattern. So it's a mirror flip off of a London bridge is coming down, motherfucker. That bitch been dead. And since she been dead, they already been lost. Because the Pope ass been dead too. And George Herbert Walker Bush has been dead too. We done chopped off the three-headed serpent right there, while you motherfuckers is thinking this shit is a joke. This shit going on in real time, and y'all saying nothing's happening. You saying nothing's happening. Mother Nature beating this bitch from pillar to post. From North Pole to South Pole. Y'all don't know which way is up. I'm telling you, South is up. And this is what was meant by the South will rise again. Because all of the chiefs on the land, from the land, that traverse the land, begin to understand the proper orientation of the earth by understanding the proper orientation of the threat. That it was a misdirection on a zigzag flip to confuse the children, to turn them away from the mothers and fathers that we will never be able to rebuild on our land, our families, and our clans. And Mama said, do something so big that it'll shut their fucking ass up. They will know you not crazy then. So this is that big thing that y'all have to understand, that y'all need to share with your clansmen. Take the ridicule like me. Do the shit you don't like me. I'm not telling you to be like me, but I'm telling you to do right like I do right. That's all. Fuck they gods. Fuck they religions. Because what they never told you, you can look in your Bible. One of the 12 tribes of Jacob was called Gad, G-A-D, and it means a troop. In the New Testament, when he asked the legion where did they come from, no, he cast the legion out. He was arguing with them, and they said, We are legion when he asked them to identify themselves, and he said, for we are many. Many is a group. A group is a troop. And a troop was some racist motherfuckers that sold the motherfucking victims of their racist agenda the very shoes on their feet at the cost of not supporting the people. Y'all remember the KKK troop fiasco? Go look it up. That ain't no urban legend, right? Now, the troop is Gad. And Gad is one of the tribes of Israel. And the tribes of Israel are the imposters who call themselves Hebrews. And they get even more imposterous as they call themselves Jews to identify themselves on the royal jury of the European royal socialites to show the people what a Jew is, where they came from, and ask us why the fuck is they here. So uncovering the secret relationship between the blacks and the Jews tells me this. The Moorish Zionist temple, were the Zionist Jews that wrote the protocols of Zion, which is the document of servitude that the Romans stole from India as the cash scroll that manufactured your divide and conquer mechanism based on the skin tone out of the Indus Valley's royal hierarchy of the Aryan races. They never told you that the Aryan, which means in English nobles, were called Dravidians. And just when you thought you knew it all, the Dravidians have afros like us. But they ain't us. But they over there equivalent to there as what we are to here. And they on the bottom over there just like we is over here. So over here, they told us who our kindred was when they bombed the branch Dravidians. The Davidians are those who are adherents to the doctrine of David. And David is the one that they called the beloved, because David means beloved. And David was the father of Solomon. But Solomon means soul of man, so the man who carries the soul or essence of Solomon is Larry Hoover. Because he was initiated by the king of all kings, David himself, Barksdale. From Barksdale, Mississippi, you understand the name of the city ties to the man, which ties the man to the land, as a Mississippian. And all kings bow at the King of Kings. We know the rules and we obey them well. But when the rules are kept from you, you can't obey what you don't know. You can't follow the proper protocol to reclaim your shit if you don't use your ways. So Elijah Muhammad said, separate. Return back to your own and do business among your own. Separate. Why did he say that? He was telling your dumb ass, disengage from that system. They don't belong here, they're foreigners. Right? So Elijah called for me to come forth. And he told Farrakhan, don't stop knocking till this nigga show up. And Farrakhan getting on my fucking nerves right now because he won't stop knocking, and I done showed the fuck up already. Open the motherfucking door. The GD's in this bitch. GD Rod, Grod, the motherfucking gorilla, pounding on his chest, beating on the concrete, swinging post to post through the street, trying to tell you motherfuckers that this enemy we can defeat. Wake up. So, based off the overwhelming evidence consequences of the nefarious acts, the breaching of every treaty, which automatically gives us control of the treaty and its dispensation, because they defaulted on the treaty agreement. There's consequences of the treaty agreement. If you violate a treaty agreement, there's consequences. But nobody's understanding how to enforce the consequences. I'm explaining it right now in real time. The consequences to the violation of the treaty activates because Larry is the one, and Angel Bay in support, and Big Tuki are them the three chiefs, or the three kings on the land, three chiefs, the three high chiefs, whose responsibility it is to organize the lesser chieftains across the land and control the land, the resources, protect the women and the children, and accumulate the knowledge so that you can become the best leadership we ever had. This is how you do it. So everybody who understands the problem to this point, all you have to do is state that in your sovereign capacity you support the writ of habeas corpus that's on the public record to free Larry Hoover. It's not our job to go hold their hand and take them to the public notice. It's our job to let them know that public notice has been given. So inbox this motherfucking video to Kanye West and Drake so they can declare a writ, because it falls within the final 7 days of the 21-day 3-7-day cycles required for a public notice to take effect in the public domain. The more of us are aware, those who are not from the land has the sovereign right to support the people of the land to reclaim and restore the land by making a public announcement that they support the caretakers of the land and the custodians to restore the land, the people, the water, and the air. Everybody that does that adds 100-fold measure to effectuate the change. What do you mean 100-fold measure to effectuate the change? Every person that done the research and become aware and understands the problem that makes the public notice is equivalent to 100 people making the notice after the initial 100 people have already agreed. So the public notices, the likes are agreements. Is what y'all don't get. The views are the acknowledgement and the likes are the agreement on the public notice. So even if a person don't understand the information, have them watch it, like it, and share. That's it. Because the more of us know and state that we support from our sovereign position as a indigenous person from the land, on the land, traversing the land, we want our leadership to answer for our downfalls. For our children killing each other in the street. They responsible for this shit, whether they gang chiefs or not. They hold the weight. This is they load the bear. They got to carry this motherfucker. And we are obligated by continuously requesting until they produce, by following the proper protocol of the indigenous process of notification. We don't have to go to their doors. Every time somebody email this video to the Justice Department, the director of the Justice Department has to respond within the 21 days by producing Larry to answer to the people on the land, from the land, traversing the land. Who are these people on our land, Larry? Where'd these motherfuckers come from, Larry? And why are you not officiating over the land as you were instructed by divine providence, Larry? Once we get this out in the open, our chieftains have to answer the people of the tribe. This is our culture. That's all y'all got to do. It's not that hard. So this is not really, this is just notification to the public of the solution to the problem. I'm giving y'all the keys to the kingdom. You can accept the keys to the kingdom, or you can go along to get along and continue to be a slave until that shit phased out, because Rome wasn't built in a day, so that bitch ain't gonna fall in 10 minutes. They got their fangs in deep, right? But I'm gorilla pounding on their motherfucking head. If y'all understand the message, we can execute the program. And when we execute the program, we break their ass down. So now we understand the problem. I've given you the solution. Once you got the solution, you only have to follow the tradition and customs of your particular tribe on notifying who in the tribe need to be aware of how to use our, because we can never reclaim our shit using they invalid jurisdiction and their invalid laws to validate our claims. They deceive you with paperwork to allow them to appear legitimate. Hey, so this is the remedy, and this is the solution according to the Iroquois Constitution, according to the Cherokee Constitution. They were all oral. And this is why I know. Because my grandparents and my parents passed knowledge to me that I was privy to understand too goddamn early. I could have done this shit when I was 6, but the people wasn't ready. I had to go learn a whole bunch of shit in order to tell you motherfuckers what they did to us. Nope, slavery never ended. Emancipation Proclamation. Abraham Lincoln. Proclamation of Emancipation literally means we declare in the public domain in open format that the transfer of the right of the slave shall fall into the hands of the corporation. That's what it means. The unspoken aspect of it that they don't have to tell you, because in that part that I just said, it's in there. This is the unspoken part to shit. As long as you continue to agree with a system that's false, you uphold the false system narrative. When you disagree, we don't need to go to the polls to make an election, because all things, if you got a despot in office, a public grievance that the majority agree on shifts the despot out of office. The despot in this case is a fictitious corporation called the United States, acting under the color of law, disenfranchising the chiefs of the land for the very same thing and same acts that the corporation itself used to maintain its position of power and control. And that being said, I'm going to leave y'all with some words from Frantz Fanon. Frantz Fanon wrote, "The establishment, for all of the rewards that it may give you, your Learjets, your diamond rings, your Rolex watches, your gold chains, your designer suits, your Michael Jordan 7, 8, and 9s, your Air Force One version 1 originals, with all the rewards the system may give you, To maintain its control, that very same system will kill your ass. Y'all gotta remember that. And the only way to get past it is just a united front. The tribes have to stand together, and this is what I'm telling y'all. Anybody that don't understand the validity of the tribal practices, take this video to an old conjure woman, a witch. Take it to the oracles. Take it to the Dawes Road Chiefs. Take this motherfucker to Big Mama, Madia, Nana. Tell him to listen to it and say the cultural ways that he's describing from our people of the past, is it valid? Once you determine it's valid, you become just as culpable to tell the people as I am. You be equally responsible. I'm telling them, I have zero faith in you motherfuckers doing anything to get free. Because in my mind, I believe from what I've seen this far, that y'all just want to hear a motherfucker talk about freedom, but y'all don't want nothing to do with that shit. Because it'll make you an uncomfortable ass for a little while, but you will be pleased and free in the end. But you don't want to be uncomfortable for a couple of weeks in order to be comfortable into your next return. And the one after that and the one after that. Because your ass gonna come back if you belong here. If you don't belong here, you ain't got to worry about nothing I'm saying. And you the motherfuckers we trying to get rid of anyway. Your skin color can't say if you belong here or not. 12 daughters of Isis. All different skin complexions, all different hair textures. Adam wasn't the first motherfucker. And Eve wasn't created from that bitch ass nigga rib. The first rat in the history of motherfucking snitches was Adam himself. The first rat, if he was in the hood, Eve brothers would have whooped that nigga ass for throwing her under the bus. Rat ass nigga. That's why niggas can't properly protect the women now, because they trying to be like Adam. A bitch ass nigga that don't do nothing. He ain't nothing but a stunt dick. That's all he good for. And them 9-vote ass niggas gonna run into these 250,000 vote ass women and get short circuited. And it's not my fault. I done told you motherfuckers already. With that being said, when a united voice say free Larry Hoover, you shake the universe. It's motherfuckers watching us that I don't like to talk about. Cause some motherfuckers going with them and that don't got nothing to do with me. I'm gonna be here. I'm firstborn of the earthborn. Titan of Titans. Supreme Grand Wizard on the land. I ain't going nowhere. I was brought here to win this war. And the only way to win this war is to tell y'all the truth from the position of right and don't be wrong. I'm right. I know what I'm talking about. I'm right. I'm 100% right. Ain't no motherfucking more corporation. As soon as y'all understand that and you walk away, you have to shut everything down before they shut it down for you. You have to walk out on every job. Only by disengaging from the system as a collective will this motherfucker buckle. Now they are falling short of their quota of contractees to hold their power. All we got to do is tip the scale now. It's at a tipping point. Rock the boat. Flip this bitch over. Big Mama said tear all that shit up. Leave no stone unturned. Angel Bay. Flip all of the stones. Let all of the L's hand them L's out across the land until they put these bays back into power. So, from the lawgivers to the law writers to those who speak it as the clerk of the court or as a chief on the land, traversing the land as a man in his sovereign capacity, we all may issue the same public decree and agree that we want to see Larry Hoover free by what you call public writ of sovereign peoples of the indigenous tribes of the earth. And with that, I think I'm done. Share the video, chop it up and share it in pieces. However you got to get the word out. Put it on all social media platforms you can share it to. Screen record it. Screen copy it. Cut and paste. It doesn't matter. Clock of Destiny say the time is up and the time is now. And Stokely Carmichael said seize the time because the time is now. Right? In the old saying go, there's no time better than the present. Because only in the present do a present matter. So the present that you open, this is your motherfucking keys to Christmas. Right? Grandfather clause and grandma clause. The legal right on the land to assert the right of kings to the land to restore the land. By grandmother clause, a first custodian of the land who appointed kings to govern the land, having appointed the kings to govern the land, must see the kings traversing the land as free men in order that we know our system has been restored in full. This the one, y'all. Make this shit viral. I done it a couple times and we could have been out of this shit. Check the shit out. It's all here. Anything that they need can be found. I know where everything at that they using to oppress us. They cannot deny it. It's all public record. It's all recorded. The story is broken down on video, in writing, in pieces, in chunks, puzzle pieces put together, flips then flipped, doors then not, and now the GDs and kicked down the motherfucking door. Gorilla God is in the room. Y'all got the point. So just make sure y'all make this motherfucker hot if y'all want y'all free. Like me. And with that, it's a wrap. I'm going to save it.